My name is Margaret Cassie, and I run Decentralized. I started a little bit over a year ago, and I've been hosting the events both in Houston and in.
You can use the mic.
I can do this.
Turn it on.
It is on. Hello? It's green.
Yeah, it does show green, but
Testing? Huh, okay, I don't know what's going on now.
So I've been hosting the meetings both in Houston and in Austin. Last year I was doing 2 events each month, which was quite a bit because I was traveling back and forward. So this year, moving forward, I'm just gonna try to do 1 event a month, and it's gonna be either out of Houston or Austin. And then I'm gonna stream to the audience that it's out of town, depending which town I'm gonna be in. Decentralized is dedicated to Web3, Web5, quantum computing, and hopefully in the future, maybe towards the end of the year, quantum biology. And I know many of you are asking me what quantum biology is, and we can talk about this later after the presentation for those of you that are interested. Today we have Mo Prosper. For those of you who do not know him, he has started playing video games in middle school and fell in love with it, and then decided that he wanted to learn how to program them. So that's how he sort of got into software programming. He no longer spends much time playing them, but nevertheless stayed with software programming full time. Today he's gonna talk to us about cryptography, the trust, the keys, and the signatures, and we are going to go over a live demo of actually signing a transaction on a blockchain. And I'm hoping that you guys are going to be able to see it. If not, I'm gonna encourage you guys to stand maybe around him, and maybe you're just gonna do it on the Trezor as you are signing it. If for whatever reason it's not visible enough on the screen, we might try to do that. But we will go through the portal and we'll get to it.
Okay. Yeah.
How do I switch this to the state on? Is it display? Anyone knows? Do you know where is the? Yeah, it's a lot. Display. Yeah, Apple doesn't make it easy on anyone to find anything. Do you know off the top of your head?
No.
There's an app for it that I use.
It's big enough every now and then, that's fine.
It's like it's dying every minute. Is nothing out? No? Alright, I was gonna say.
Go to the menu, settings, lock screen, and at the bottom you should see turn off display when on battery.
Turn off display when inactive.
Yeah. Yes.
Well, that's not true. Display on.
Yeah, so it's like 3 hours or something.
All right, let's hope this is gonna get easier. Yeah, because of the chat, I think it's.
All right. Thanks for working through these technical difficulties, but
always happens.
It always happens, but can everyone hear me okay?
Yeah.
All right, great. And I know y'all can understand me, which is also amazing. I mean, we're all social beings here, and being social means that communication is extremely important. So, being able to communicate with everybody is very powerful. We're also pretty complex beings, so being able to tell people secrets or be vulnerable is also important as well. As of today, or as of for most of history, we have primarily needed to walk right up to somebody or lower our voice to communicate with them. Communicating over long distances is a challenge. And I want to tell you about the story about this. So I'm Mo Prosper, and I'll be your guide through this journey. So let's start all the way from the very beginning. Back in the day, does anybody happen to know who this guy is?
I don't think we have anyone on the screen.
Is there a delay?
You hit the play, no?
I didn't delay this by an hour. There we go.
You'll have to mute it on.
So that does mean, I guess every time I change a slide, I have to wait for the slide to come up on screen, but it's okay. We'll work through it. Anyways, does anyone happen to know who this guy is? Oh, exactly. So that's a great guess, and you're exactly correct. You win the first prize of the night. So talk to Margaret, and she will set you up. All right. So Julius Caesar, like he was back in the 50 BC, long time ago, ruling the whole Roman Empire, and that was spread across all of modern Europe today, parts of Asia, very large, and he had a very powerful military. So he needed to be able to communicate from the middle of Rome to people very far away, his senators, his military leaders on the borders of his empire. So of course, he would send runners or people with chariots to send messages to them and be able to communicate to his diplomats that way. But he thought of an issue that might occur when you're communicating over very long distances like this. So he invented something called the Caesar cipher. What you can see, what you're probably seeing right now, is a brass recreation of a stone tablet that Julius Caesar himself would use to communicate over these very long distances. And I want to break down how it works. So, the first thing you have to do is choose a secret key. And that secret key that Julius Caesar actually used was the number 3. So, whenever he had his cipher, he would set his cipher to, he would rotate it 3 times. Okay. And he would have a diagram that looked like this on his stone tablets. So all of his diplomats would know this secret key. So now how does he send a message to them? Well, it is a cipher. So let's try and encode the word cipher. So first you would highlight the letter that you're trying to encode on the outside of the wheel, in this case, the C. And you would look on the inner wheel and write down what that letter is. So in this case, it would be F. Next, I'm going to take the letter I, and I'm going to write down the letter L. Next, I'll grab the letter P, and I'll write the letter S. After that, we'll take the letter H, we'll put down K, and then E, you can see that easily maps to H, and then R to U. So now we have this jumbled mess of words, but that's Caesar's way of encoding the word cipher. So I want to now roleplay as one of the senators or diplomats of Caesar and see how we would work on actually decoding this message. So if you want to follow along, I'll put a QR code up on the screen. Feel free to scan that. I know it's small. I hope you can scan it from that computer. But this is a pretty cool tool that I'll share as well. Let me put it up here. And here you can see this is just a way of, this is going to decrypt Caesar's original message. So our code that we had written down is FLFKH. And you can see here, this is our ciphertext, and at the bottom, our decrypted ciphertext is that mess. So what can we even do with that? Well, we need to do a shift to it. So without knowing the key, you're going to see this mess and not think anything of it. But the senators would take that and rotate it once, and it still looks like a mess. You rotate it again, it still looks like a mess. But when you rotate it the third time, you'll see that the decrypted text here is our intended target. And Caesar is now able to communicate long distances without ever having to worry about people picking up his messengers and decrypting his messages. So now I would like to ask y'all, what do you think the key space of this algorithm that Caesar made would be? So in this case, the key space would be 26. Since there's 26 letters of the alphabet, you have 26 different combinations to try until you would get the right answer. So 26 would probably take maybe a few hours for somebody who knew what they were looking at to figure out what that result is. And that time might be pretty important. But now I want to skip up a couple thousand years to World War II. So what you see on the screen here is actually one the original Enigma machines. This is what the Nazis used to communicate messages throughout their empire while they had it. And the key space that they had was a little bit bigger. The key space was actually 100 quintillion. That's a very large number. So I want to show it to you on the screen in its full glory. It's 1 followed by 18 zeros. And to get an idea of how big it is, it's about the number of grains of sand here on the planet Earth. So if you want to find the correct key to decrypt the Enigma code, you would need to pick the right grain of sand. On top of this, they had another trick up their sleeves. They changed the key every day. So that is wild. How in the world can you break something that's encrypted so well? Back in the 40s and 30s, right? Well, let's go. Okay. Okay. Yes, I'll speak up. I'll also boost my microphone. All right. Hope everyone can hear me a bit better now. If this decides to work, that would be great too. All right. So who you see here is Alan Turing. He's known as one of the godfathers of computer science. And, oh, did you have a question? Oh, no. Thank you very much for letting me know. Oh. Okay, so, all right, I'll go back. I'll quickly show the slides I was going to show. We have the Caesar cipher, and we saw the key space. Here's the Enigma machine This is what the Nazis actually used. Actually, a fun fact, the way that it worked is they would type their messages just like a typewriter, but it had all these different wires and rotors that would spin, and that would do the encryption to it, and it would shine a light on a different letter, similar to how the Caesar cipher looked, and they would write that letter down and then use that as their encrypted message. So, anyways, we were talking about the key space, and I was talking a bit about Alan Turing. Thanks again for letting me know about the slides. So, Alan Turing, he was one of the cryptographers, one of the lead cryptographers at Bletchley Park, and they were working in the UK as one of the allies and trying to decrypt what these messages. He created this insane machine called the Bombay, and it actually worked. And allegedly, Churchill said that that was one of the prime reasons he won the war. So after the war, he was celebrated for a while. Then it turned out he got released that he was gay, and being gay is definitely a no-no back then. So they pretty much tortured him, castrated, and then he ended up dying. But he did get honors post-war after all this, and he's also a big name in the computer science world. You've probably heard of the Turing test or Turing Awards. It's named after him. I don't want to talk more about how they actually did the encryption, because if you haven't seen it already, there's this fantastic movie that I highly recommend called The Imitation Game. It stars Benedict Cumberbatch. Yeah, it's pretty good, and you'll see it all in full detail. So, yeah, now I think we pretty much covered the whole history of symmetric encryption. That's what this whole thing has been about. How do you take a message and a key and then turn it into gibberish, and then use that same key to turn it back into your encrypted text? And we use this even to this day still with a much larger key size, but we use this for encrypted files. We use this in cloud storage, and we also use this for like VPNs. And whenever you sign into a Wi-Fi with password, you'll be using symmetric encryption behind the scenes. So this wouldn't be a decentralized talk if we didn't talk about quantum. So quantum computers don't exist yet, but when they do exist, will they be able to break this symmetric encryption? No, they won't. Symmetric encryption is entirely secure to quantum computers, so you can be sure that your privacy will not break whenever quantum computers do come around in the future. Right. So now I'd like to move over to fingerprinting. So here on the screen, I have a fingerprint. Everyone here knows that's a fingerprint, but nobody knows whose fingerprint it is. Just by looking at it, you get no information other than that it is a fingerprint. So we like to think of fingerprinting as a one-way algorithm. And our first use case of it was actually back in 1903. There were two people, one named Will West, one named William West, and they looked almost identical, but they weren't related. They were like the same height, had same facial features, all the biometrics that the FBI used at the time to classify these people. Everybody, they were aligned on every way. So it would seem like they're the same person. But when they took their fingerprint, we noticed, hey, these fingerprints don't match. They're actually different people. And that really pushed for fingerprinting to be used as a way for identifying people. And so far, it's pretty much collision resistant, except for one episode when it's still up in the air a little bit. But there's a man named Brandon Mayfield who in 2004, they found what they thought was his fingerprint somewhere, but it was actually someone else's. So in this case, we trusted that fingerprints would be a one-way algorithm. We can get somebody, get their fingerprint, and know 100% certainty that that belongs to them and that it doesn't go the other way. But in this case, there was essentially a fingerprint collision. What's most likely that happened is the quality of the fingerprint that was taken wasn't good enough to tell the difference. But in any case, that's a collision. So all of this is a form of hashing. And hashing, I like to call it the most extreme type of compression that there is, because you can compress something so small, but you can't get anything out of it. And very useful for integrity. So the most popular hashing algorithm out there is the SHA-256. You might have heard of this before, especially if you're worked with website development. Everyone has used that at some point, but it was developed by the NSA in 2001, and it has very, very collision resistant properties, which make it very, very nice. It's so collision resistant that the chance of getting a collision is not 2, but actually 2 to the power of 128. And I put that because it's half of 256. So that is a pretty large number. I'll put the full number on the screen, but to give an idea of how insanely big this number is, I would actually like to think about it in the reverse. The probability, if you were to have somebody pick a random number within this, a random integer in between 0 and this number, the likelihood of getting it correct is actually less than winning the lottery 6 times in a row. So, as far as we know, this has never happened, and we don't think it's ever going to happen. And that is very powerful. Fun fact: I was looking at it, and there have been 4 people so far known that have actually won the lottery twice, not in a row, but they've just won it twice. Unfortunately, a lot of those people don't still have the money, but that's besides the point. I'd like to show what SHA-256 actually looks like. So if you want to walk through it with me, I'm going to go through a step-by-step guide for how this actually. So this is Hash Explained, and it was actually developed by BitDevs. And BitDevs is an organization, I believe, here in Austin. They work similar with Pleb Lab, so very cool stuff. So, for example, I'm going to try and put my password in here, just the word password, and I'm going to run this algorithm. And you can see on the right, it has password just put out in binary. And when I run it and go step by step, it's going to do all these different crazy operations. All these operations are deterministic. And if you look at the very bottom, you'll see that the operations that we use are actually the rotation algorithms, similar to the Caesar cipher. So we put all those together, and it creates this very powerful hashing algorithm. So as you see at the end, I have this one block. This block that the hash algorithm returns is going to be 32 bytes every time. What's great about this is that as a web developer or somebody who runs a banking system or whatever, or an app, when people sign into your app, they're going to give you a username and password. But if one day you get hacked and your database is leaked, everybody's going to have the username and passwords to everybody. Disaster. So what developers do, or should be doing, is using the SHA-256. That way, you can have just this fingerprint put in the database. And if I run this again, you'll see that it will come up with the same output. And it will do that every single time. That way I can know when somebody puts their password and username in, that it matches what's in the database. And as the database owner, I never have to know what's in the database. All right. And Now I'll switch to this. And of course, we're going to be talking about quantum. So, hashing. How does quantum computers affect hashing? Well, hashing is completely secure. We'll know that in the future, when quantum computers arise, there will be no possibility of quantum computers breaking this hashing algorithm. So we can feel pretty good about our online fingerprints. So we talked a bit about hashing. We talked a bit about symmetric encryption. The symmetric encryption has a key, but if you're going to be communicating with somebody and you give them a key, how do you know that somebody else in the middle wasn't listening in and figuring out what that key is? Well, we didn't really have a solution. That was up until the 70s, where we found, hey, there's actually a pretty great solution, and it's been hiding in math all along. It's called key pairs. So these are public and private key pairs. The way that it works is that simply, just like before, we had some data we wanted to encrypt, we encrypt it with our public key, and then it looks like a garbled mess, and then we can decrypt it with our private key. And I can give my public key to anybody and feel 100% confident that they'll never be able to get my private key. So how does this actually work? Well, in 1976, two men named Diffie-Hellman came up with a solution to this. And I have a little demonstration here on the right that shows not how the math works, but how it looks like if it were colors. And what you do is pretty much take two general known for everybody, even the attacker, numbers. It would be a prime number, and both parties would create a secret number that they don't tell anybody else. They will mix it with the common known public color and then share that mixed result. When you share that mixed result, then the other party can mix their own color onto it, the original color that they created, and then it will at the end have two shared same colors. You can ensure that this only works if the process of figuring out what two colors were put in cannot be pulled out. And the reason we're protected by that is the discrete logarithm problem. It pretty much is about finding prime factors of a very large number. It's easier to multiply them, but it's really hard to pull them apart. So this was great, and it worked really well. But then up in the 80s, we found something even better called elliptic curves. An elliptic curve takes it to the next level by being more secure and even faster. On the right here, I have a little demonstration of how it looks like. But essentially, A is the point that would be the private key in this point, just a random point that you choose on a curve. And then you will rotate it along this curve a set amount of times. Wherever it lands is the public key. And you can give that out to other people. And you know that you can always figure that out just by doing this math on your own private key. But you'll feel also confident that no one can do the math and figure out what your private key was from that public point. This is called the elliptic curve digital signature algorithm. And we use this every day, all the time. In fact, I would like to show one example of where we use that today. So here, I'll just go to google.com, and google.com, whenever I go to it, it is actually HTTPS, so it's a secure connection, and we can actually prove it. If we click here at the top, it will say our connection is secure. Well, let's see how it is actually secure. If you've ever clicked on this before and then clicked on your certificate is valid, you'll see a few of the things that we've actually just talked about. You'll see your SHA-256 fingerprints here at the bottom, and you'll see the public key and the certificate, which is another party's public key that does the authentication. If we go to details in the certificate and open up the certificate signature algorithm, we'll actually see that even today, we still use the elliptic digital signature algorithm with SHA-256. And so all of our traffic today is protected by these algorithms. So they are pretty widely used, which I think is pretty great. I'll stop sharing. Click. So speaking of signatures, let's just talk about what a signature really is. So we use signatures today as a way to prove that you are somebody, like you have to sign your license, cards you own, maybe even your passport. And you also use your signature to enter in contractual agreements. This is a way for you to prove that you are who you say you are and that you agreed to the document that you have signed. And that is very useful. I'm sure everyone here has signed something before. And if you're signing something that's really important, like maybe a document to buy a house, you might need to get that signature verified. To do that, what we use today is pretty much notary services, and other lawyers also will go in courts and they will look at signatures and verify, hey, this signature actually doesn't look like yours, it's forged, or verify that it is legit. And if something's really important, then maybe they'll even require witnesses to watch the signature just to be very confident that all of this is working as intended. But how does this play out into encryption? And that's where digital signatures come in. A digital signature is pretty much a way for us to use the key pairs that we just talked about earlier and use those to sign any documents that we want. And here is the process of how we do it in for pretty much every signature. It will take a document, hash it, and combine that hash with the private key, and then append that back to the document to create a signed document. But with computers, we don't really have somebody who will be able to look at that and say, okay, that does look legit, that doesn't look legit. Instead, we have a verification process that's handled by math as well. That process looks like taking the signed document, hashing it, and comparing it against the public key of the person who signed it, and comparing those two hashes. If they're identical, then we know that the document was originally signed by the owner of the private key. So here I'd like to show, this is a hot wallet that I use. It's pretty nice, and it allows you to sign messages. So one way, so digital signatures are used throughout almost everything, as we saw in Chrome, but it's also used for pass keys. You've probably signed into maybe a few websites using pass keys. They're not that popular yet, but although we had hashing before, digital signatures are allow passkeys to be a more advanced version and a bit easier to use, if they can get set up correctly, that is. But yeah, we can use them for pretty much everything. And yeah, I showed here on the right is an example of me signing a message. So this is a message that I'm just signing with a nunchuck, just a free hot wallet on the phone. It's also open source, But after I sign a message, I can export it and share it. And what I'm actually doing is I'm sharing it with this public app. I made, and it looks like this. This is the verification of the message that was just signed previously. So this is pretty powerful because not only is the verification done through this website, but you can prove it yourself if anybody can prove it. And this QR code might be a bit too hard to see on there, but you could verify this message on your own. Lastly, I want to show another use case of this. Oh, so this right here, has anybody heard of Trezor before or seen this type of device? If you're into crypto, you might have seen something like this. So today I'm not going to be using it for any type of crypto, but I want to showcase how digital signing works, and it works entirely on this device. So here is the UI for it, and you can see there's nothing on here. But I'm actually going to switch over to a legacy wallet. And a legacy wallet has a few advantages that it's very simple, it works, and it's easier to develop things on. Only downside is it has higher transaction fees. Regardless, I want to switch over to showcase this. Yes, this is a type of a cold wallet.
So instead of like Coinbase or something like that, you're using different wallet.
Exactly. It allows you to have complete control of it. So let's say I'm going to make a scenario up where I was going to get a massive loan from the decentralized organization, and I needed to sign this message, and this is essentially the contract that they proposed to me. So I'm going to I'll read through the contract. Of course, you got to read through anything before you sign it. And it says that I need some collateral, but they're going to offer me a good amount of money for this. Great. Now I just need to sign it and give it to my loan officer. So let's copy it. And then I'm going to switch tabs again. And in Trezor, this is the interface for the hardware wallet. I have the option to sign messages. So I'm going to, well, here I'm actually not able to sign yet because I have to plug it in. So this, and I can bring this up closer if y'all want to see, or I've never seen this before. But you just have a password associated with it. And yeah, so to use it, you need to enter a password in it. This adds an extra layer of security to the device itself. What's nice about it, if somebody were to take it and try and enter in the code too many times incorrectly, it'll wipe itself, which might sound like a big issue, but it's actually not because you are able to recover it. But those topics are a bit out of scope for this talk. So here I'm going to showcase signing a message. So here I'll put in the information for like completing this contract. And just to show that I'm doing it live, I put the number of people in the audience, and then I choose my address, I hit sign, and then I actually have to enter in a code on my device again. And it will actually show me the entire contract on the device. The benefit of this is if your computer is hacked for some reason or had some malware, this device is not connected to the internet. It's not even connected to the computer. It's only actually using it for sending an encrypted message plus for power. But it shows the address that I'm signing from, and it also shows the entire document. So that way I can verify that I'm not actually entering anything I'm not entering into an agreement that I don't actually intend to agree to. So once I feel confident and I sign my address here, you hold to confirm it, it shakes a little bit, and then it gives you a success. Nice. So I'll copy my message and I will unplug the device because I no longer need it. And I will stop presenting this. Okay, so lastly, I want to showcase the message verifier. This is a public open source website. Anybody can give it a try. And it has even some educational aspects, and you can see the source code. It has all the stuff. But what it notes here is that the digital signatures are impossible to forge. And this is because the key space is so large. And also when somebody signs a message, you can't actually say that you didn't sign it because the proof is already there. So now I'm going to actually try and verify the message that I just signed. So if I paste in here, oh, I lost my copy. That's fine. I forgot to copy on here. Oops. Oh, it's still there. All right. I can see that it's actually I pasted the message from Trezor onto this website, and it's able to verify its authenticity. It has a few nice properties. If I open up another website, this website is, I can showcase on another website made by Blue Wallet that this message is actually verified. It has the signature at the bottom, and it also says the amount that's in that address. So part of this contract was that I needed to have a specific amount of collateral. So this is about $10 worth, but I'm able to show and prove that I'm the owner of this wallet that contains $10. Now, I did all of this publicly, right? Let's go back here and let's say, I mean, this contract looks good. It's $1 million with 2% interest over 50 years. Anybody would want that. So I'm going to change it, and I'm just going to put the man in the middle, because the man in the middle wants all the good deals. But when they try and verify it, the verification fails. And they will actually have to keep altering the signature until it passes. that is cryptographically impossible. So we don't have to worry, and I can feel confident doing it publicly that the message that I sign is going to be for me and only me. If you want to, you can QR code, and this QR code will take you directly to the message that I had just signed, and you can try and alter it yourself and see if you can break the digital signature algorithm. And I'll leave this up for some time. It's a very high resolution QR code without a projector, but we'll still make it work. And so that's pretty much how digital signing works in a nutshell. So it wouldn't be a decentralized event if I didn't talk about quantum. And so digital signatures, does anyone know, are they secure also to quantum computers? That is correct. Do you know why? Is there an algorithm that can break it? Well, hopefully it's yes, well, since no one knows the prize, you get it for knowing that yes. When quantum computers come along, they will be able to break this digital signature algorithm. And there's a lot of work to try and make it so that we prevent that from happening. We have some post-quantum computers, but or post-quantum algorithms, but nothing has been verified as strongly. So we actually know the algorithm that we're going to use. The code has been written. We just need the computer to do it. And the code was written by Peter Shor. Back in 1994, he created Shor's algorithm, one of the most well-known quantum algorithms out there. And its special piece is that it can find the prime factors of a large integer very quickly. Fortunately, we have a bit of time to rest. So if you like learning about quantum or any of this talk, please give Decentralized a follow. And big thanks to Margaret for hosting this event, Stand Up Crypto for sponsoring this event, and Tay in the back for listening to me rehearse this many times over. So make sure you scan this so we don't miss out. And all the credits and sources and other links, you can find everything with this final QR code in case you missed something. So thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mo. And me
Yeah.
personally, I think I'm gonna bring Mo back at some point in the second part of the year to do this again, because for all the work that he put in, I know that you guys try to follow, but this is really information that you're not gonna get just everywhere. And I think it would be very useful if people could actually, if they could actually follow and be able to see how you are doing all of this with detail.
Yes.
So
that
I'm
would be
inviting
great.
you back. In the
Thank you
second
very
part of
much.
the year.
Wow, that's great.
And I hope that you guys can come back and actually experience this the way we should have.
I will say,
Yeah.
I've read a million things about all this stuff, and I never understood it. So, and I understood your talk. So thank you.
Really? That's great to hear.
Yeah, I
That's
think
great
Don
to
did
hear.
a great job with trying to break it down. I mean, I don't think I've heard anyone explain it that way, to kind of give you a transition from like not knowing anything to starting to know something, or at least getting some framework around how it works. But again, I would have wished that you could actually see how that happens in reality, because he put a lot of work into making this happen. So
Yeah.
we'll bring you back.
Well, thank you. That's very great to hear. Yeah. Any questions I can help answer for y'all? Yes.
Between AES and SHA.
Yes. AES is a symmetric encryption. SHA is a hashing algorithm.
So when they say AES 256, what's the difference?
AES 256 is the number of bits that are used in the key for AES. So, yeah, does that make sense?
They're two separate things, but they both use 256.
Correct.
Naming.
And I should say, repeat the question for the people on stream. So the question was AES 256 versus SHA 256. The reason that they add the 256 at the end is because that's the number of bits that the SHA is outputting, or the number of bits that are used in the key for AES. AES stands for, I think, the American Encryption Standard. Advanced encryption. Oh, typical American, try to take credit. Yeah. So, 256 bits. That's just 32 bytes, and that's a pretty standard and sufficient key size for doing all this.
Until
Yes.
quantum.
I think I read earlier this week, that Vitalik Buterin predicts that the quantum will break the Ethereum signatures by 2028.
That's unfortunate to hear, but so we do have the code ready for it. The problem is we just don't have the computers yet. I think at the moment it's either Google or Microsoft who are leading in the quantum race, and their computers are like, I think 10 is double-digit bits long, so barely even a byte. So if you still believe in Moore's law for all of this, for even the quantum piece, then that seems like it could be realistic. But we do definitely have a ways to go.
When you say we don't have the computer yet, what do you mean? The conventional computing capacity, or for quantum to run the algorithm?
So we don't have a quantum computer, or we have quantum logic gates, but we don't have enough that we can use to build an entire quantum computer. Our computers now have like billions of gigahertz, trillions of transistors, but we only have like 10 or 20 quantum bits. And I mean, there's lots of teams working to try and build more, but once those computers are ready, they can probably use Shor's algorithm to break some cryptography that they would like to.
Got it. So Shor's algorithm is run on a quantum computer to protect us, or to break the everything?
It would most likely be, I mean, right now, the leading known reason for using a quantum computer is to break encryption. I know that there's other talks later this year that we'll talk about that quantum computers probably can help with, but as far as I know, quantum computers will make encrypting a lot harder to do.
So you need 2200 logical qubits, and there are different types of qubits. Logical is what you need in order to break the encryption as we know it right now. We do not have quantum computer yet that has 2200 logical qubits. So it's not like we do not. So we do have quantum computers. We just don't have one that has enough logical qubits to break the encryption. So that's what we're talking about. And to Brad's point, there is one company that is poised, if what's on the paper works, to break the encryption by 2028.
Yeah.
I also want to mention, because Mo has been modest, that the verification tool that you guys have seen at the end, it's his own making.
Yes.
So if you guys would like, I believe he provided a QR code at the end. The verification tool is included in it if you want to check it out for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And if not, I can also send a message through Luma and resend the link.
Thanks. Yeah, it was it's all under one repo, so it should be simple enough to follow if you understand TypeScript and want to go through it line by line. I think the core like verification piece is about 600 lines of code. So yeah, do with that as you will.
And pass it along if you want others to learn how to use this.
Yeah.
It is a really great tool. And again, I wish that when I bring Mo back in the second part of the year, he can go through it so you can truly see it line by line of how it works, unless you want to try it yourself before that time.
If you run into any issues, I'm definitely open to help. And the QR code that's on the screen now should have my contact info. So reach out to me if you have any questions. Yes, you got a question for me, sir.
Quickly, is they like using some algorithms?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So these hardware wallets, they have a special chip in them called a secure element, and there's different variations of it. And I think some of the newer phones even have it. I think the new iPhone calls it a secure enclave. That's where they put all your like iCloud passwords inside of. And what's powerful in it is that the private key is in there, but it's impossible to pull it out. Even if you have the device and you open it up and like put some wires through it, the secure element chip will resist pulling the private key out of it. And that's the special piece that makes them very powerful.
And if you can't do it, you're probably going to gain a few millions of dollars for doing so.
Yes.
There are people that have tried to break into hardware wallets.
Correct. So, a popular story, the first Trezor that's out there, the Trezor 1, it's actually completely insecure. They have found out how to break that one. It didn't use a secure element. They just, it was kind of made in the early ages of crypto when people didn't, I guess, understand the different threat levels. But since then, the threat levels have become a lot higher, the stakes are a lot stronger. So there's been a lot more effort into making them more secure. So if you're using a Trezor 1, please upgrade.
And just
Yes.
so you know, sometimes people will try to compromise their own devices when they forgot their keys
Yes.
to enter it in the first place.
Which may be a disaster if you don't have a backup.
And
So your signature, did the device create the signature? Did you create it? Or what's the genesis of the actual signature?
So when I was showing the Trezor, the Trezor app sent a message to the device to tell it, this is what I want you to sign. So the private key on the device never left the device. It just did the signature on there and then sent the signature out. Once I had that signature, then I put it on the website so everyone can see it. Does that answer?
That signature is like almost like a random key. But if you sign another document, would it be the identical character string?
No, it would be completely different. But to get that specific character string, you would have to use this device, because any other device by anybody else will return some different string that won't work. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
All right, great.
They're trying to figure out like how you physically sign something.
Yes.
How does this compare to that?
I think I should have walked around and shown that part out, but it does put the address you're signing from, the contents that you're signing, but then it also has you hold it to verify that you want to sign it, and it vibrates to let you know, hey, it's signed, I've sent off the signature, and you no longer need to be plugged in. So
And then how is that? Can that be traced back to you? It only trace back to the device?
Yes.
That signature trace backwards. Or?
So it would actually trace back to me. One of the so digital signatures are non-reputable, which means that once you've signed something, you can't unsign it. It's permanently signed. So in this example, this is the contract. I'm not sharing.
There you go.
Okay. Oh, I forgot about the delay. In this tab, this is like the contract that I signed with my name. And this is the address here at the bottom. And this address has signed this message. And with this link, you can't deny that ever happening. I've done that in front of everybody. So as anyone who has this link will be able to say that, hey, this guy said this, no matter what. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, but I can't read the text. Your name is in there.
Yes, I should have zoomed in more. Oh my goodness. Yes. Yeah, it would have been better on a big screen, but yeah, this is how the contract looked like that I was trying to sign. So I put my name in here, and I'll show again. Like if I want to, if I was somebody malicious, right? I'm giving this out to everybody. Anybody can verify the signature. But if you're trying to like take this for yourself, and you want this deal, when you hit verify, it's going to fail, and it will always fail because it doesn't match the original message.
So how would this work with like if you're working with a client and you both have to sign something? Like, do they both need the physical copy of that, like digital? Or, like, how does that work?
So there's actually a pretty powerful thing I didn't cover at all in all parts of cryptocurrency since the very beginning of Bitcoin, even included something like this called multi-signature. So what multi-sig is it allows two different parties to create a combined key, and that key can be used to sign things. What's powerful with that is, sure, me and you could create a combined key to sign a document, or even a combined key to have some money in it. If we have this wallet together, the only way that we can spend this wallet is if me and you both approve on our own devices. So think of it kind of like a joint savings account that requires approval by multiple parties. Does that answer your question? Great. Yes. Hi.
Are you familiar with functioning fully homomorphic encryption?
Yes, I am a little bit familiar with it in terms of like used for voting, correct?
Yeah, I just want to know whether how digital signatures fit into like FAG. I know around eBay, I see FAG.
Mhm. Okay. So the question was regarding homomorphic encryption, how that plays into digital signatures. And from my understanding, at my level, I don't know how you could successfully combine the two or what that would play, but I would have to do more research and then I'll get back to you. I had this before. I'll be sure to my QR code up here. So if I find an answer and you're interested, you can reach out and then we can talk about that. Just so everybody knows, as far as I understand, a homomorphic encryption, I think would be used popular for voting because it allows to have like one document, like which ballot you are voting for. You encrypt it and you put it in like a shared vault. This shared vault can't be decrypted, so nobody can see what vote you put in, but the homomorphic part allows you to find out the tally at the very end without finding the individual votes of every party. Is there anything else that you think we would add to that explanation?
A nice one too that's relevant today is actually, yeah, a nice one too that's relevant today is like AI, ChatGPT right now, with the type of prompts that authenticity, all the data and everything like that.
Mhm.
With fully homomorphic encryption, even though you type like an input, like once it actually gets sent, the AI can still compute on encrypted data, so it actually does not know what the actual data is, but it can still give you an answer about the data. So that's
Pretty powerful stuff. I would think that on top of that, maybe a digital signature could be used to prove that it came from a specific AI model, and you can feel confident that it wasn't intercepted by a malicious model. Or, yeah, it's a great insight. Definitely going to look more into that. Anything else? Yes.
I have a fun question. So what games were you into? Because you used to, I guess,
That's right.
yeah, I was just wondering.
Yes. So my game has pretty much always been Smash Bros. I've stuck with like every iteration. Yeah, me, my brother, and my sister, we'd stay up so late and we just play it like nonstop, starting from Melee. I still play it a little bit today, and even in college, I tried to compete in it. It was a good time. Yeah. Yeah.
The moral of the story: encourage your kids to play.
Yes. Yeah, I was unhappy with how certain some attacks from my characters weren't good, and I just wanted to build my own. So I never ended up building my own Smash Bros. Competitor, but I'm here now, still programming and gaming a little bit too.
Games to cryptography.
Yeah, what a
That's the
journey.
progression. And for those of you that do not know, is actually our Houston member.
Wow.
Visiting in town. So there you go.
Thanks for commuting for this talk.
Is actually one of
Nice.
our past speakers.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm very familiar with digital signatures.
And he also specializes in cryptography.
Yeah, I
Right.
actually did their foundation, so I have an understanding of digital signatures.
Very cool. Yeah, let's definitely chat more then. Exciting stuff.
So my plan is working. We're connecting the community.
Yeah, it's definitely working. Is there anything else I can help answer for y'all? Thank you very much. And thanks, chat. I'll end the stream.